Hello, this is Grant Hughes of Grant Hughes Investigates on YouTube. Please hit that like button, share, and subscribe. But really hit that like button for me, would you? I appreciate it. Today is a video in regards to the Delphi case, and it's the defendant's verified motion to preserve and produce specific evidence. And this is something that the defense just put into the documents, and it was sent to me. So it says, Richard Allen by counsel now comes before the court with the verified motion and moves this court to order the state of Indiana to preserve certain specific evidence and to produce that evidence to the defense. In support of the motion, Richard Allen states the following. So here comes all their assertions. I haven't read it yet, so we'll be reading it at the same time. On February 12, 2025, Richard Allen's counsel Andrew Baldwin met with inmate Ricci, I don't know if it's Ricky or however you pronounce that, probably Ricci Davis at the Newcastle Correctional Facility. So apparently Baldwin met with him just 5 days ago. During their meeting, Mr. Davis informed attorney Baldwin of the following. He, Ricci Davis, was in the unique position of having met both Kegan Kline and Ron Logan during their stays at Newcastle Correctional Facility. But my God, what happened to all the Odinists? Are those out of the theory now? B. He, Ricci Davis, talked with Ron Logan about the Delphi murders. On multiple occasions over the course of time, Logan confessed to his involvement in the murders, along with 2 other people. During those conversations, Logan provided certain details of the crime that only the actual killer would know, but never divulged who the other 2 people involved in the murders were. D. In or around March 2024, Keegan Kline was placed in the same general area as Ricci Davis, and at some point apparently learned that Ricci Davis had talked to Ron Logan while Logan was incarcerated in Newcastle. Over time, Kline began questioning Ricci Davis as to Ricci Davis's conversations with Ron Logan and whether Logan had ever mentioned his, Keegan Kline's, name to Ricci Davis during those conversations. F. Ricci Davis began to realize that Kline may... what's funny is, so let's say they're saying 2 other people, and it's Keegan Kline, and the other one has to be Richard Allen, because Richard Allen is in fact Bridge Guy. This is number F here. Ricci Davis began to realize that Kline may have been one of the other members of the crew that Logan described as being involved in the murders. Over time, Keegan Kline began to reveal information about the Delphi murders that corroborated details Ron Logan had revealed to Ricci Davis several years earlier. Some of the details Keegan Kline provided to Ricci Davis are the types of details that could only be known by someone involved in the killings. These conversations between Ricci Davis and Keegan Kline occurred all the way up to the guilty verdict, at which time Kline expressed his relief that he, Kline, would no longer be a viable suspect in the murders due to Richard Allen's conviction. Not knowing whether Richard Allen could be the 3rd person involved in the murders, Ricci Davis asked Keegan Kline whether Mr. Allen was the 3rd person involved in the murders. Kline replied that Richard Allen was not the 3rd person and had nothing to do with the murders. Okay, so I guess that answers the question that I had. And apparently this is what Keegan Kline's saying. Keegan Kline is full of crap, though, okay? The guy is a known liar, etc. And how do we trust what Ricci Davis is saying about what Keegan Kline was saying? I mean, this is insane. Keegan Kline further revealed to Ricci Davis, so again, we've got double hearsay, that he, Kline, and Logan knew each other through the sharing of child pornography that they shared on burner phones, and that further they, Kline and Logan, would see each other every 3 to 6 months so that Kline could assist Logan with using the burner phones because Logan was inept working with electronic devices. Well, that is something that I always thought, like, he's so old, how would he have known how to digitally wipe everything clean if he had something to do with the murders? And then L here, Ricci Davis, you can see on the screen the letters here. Ricci Davis further explained that once Keegan Kline began revealing his role in the murders, sometime in the summer and fall of 2024, before Mr. Allen's October trial, he, Ricci Davis, began sending letters to Nick McLeland providing many of the details of Ricci Davis's conversations with Kegan Kline in 2024 and Ron Logan in 2017. Ricci Davis indicated that he believed he sent as many as 8 letters to McLeland's office and presumed that McLeland was sharing the contents of those letters with Richard Allen's defense team. Attorney Baldwin met with Ricci Davis on March 27, 2024, and learned very limited information from Ricci Davis, who encouraged Baldwin to watch a videotaped interview law enforcement conducted years ago. So let's see that again. Attorney Baldwin met with Ricci Davis on March 27, 2024, and learned very limited information from Ricci Davis, who encouraged Baldwin to watch a videotaped interview law enforcement conducted years earlier. At their February 12, 2025 meeting, Ricci Davis further admitted that when Attorney Baldwin met with Ricci Davis on March 27, 2024, that he, Ricci Davis, did not provide all the details that he knew at the time to Attorney Baldwin for 2 reasons. One, he had not yet heard of the many details that Keegan Kline ultimately provided him, including that Keegan Kline was involved in the crime and that he, Keegan Kline, knew Ron Logan. And 2, at that time he met with Attorney Baldwin in 2024, he, Ricci Davis, could not be sure whether Richard Allen was one of the 2 other people that Ron Logan described as also being involved in the murders. Mr. Davis stated that he was guarded during their March 27, 2024 meeting with Baldwin because he, Davis, did not necessarily want to assist Richard Allen's defense counsel if he, Richard Allen, was one of the 3 men that Ron Logan stated was involved in the murders. Again, in his March 27, 2024 meeting with Baldwin, Ricci Davis told Baldwin that he, Baldwin, could learn the details of what Ricci Davis told law enforcement by watching his videotaped interview that law enforcement should have in their possession from when they interviewed him sometime years before. At their February 12, 2025 meeting, Ricci Davis was shocked to learn that Baldwin had never received this videotaped interview. Following this March 27, 2024 visit with Ricci Davis, the next day, March 28, 2024, at 11:49 p.m., Attorney Baldwin emailed both Nick McLeland and Stacy Diener requesting that they turn over law enforcement's videotaped interview of Ricci Davis, in which Davis presumably provided the details of Ron Logan's confession on videotape. To date, the prosecution has never provided any videotaped Ricci Davis interview to the defense, nor explained why it has not done so, nor stated no such videotape exists, and have ignored the request. The approximate 8 letters Ricci Davis claims he sent to McLeland in the months leading up to the October 2024 trial would contain multiple layers of exculpatory evidence which the defense could have used to further its investigation as to whether certain facts contained in those letters could be verified through crime scene photographs, digital data, and a variety of other means. Defense counsel has never seen the Davis letters nor known of their existence until after the trial, when defense counsel met with Mr. Davis on February 12, 2025. Also, the prosecutor has never informed the defense counsel of the existence of any such letters. On the evening of February 12, 2025, defense counsel Baldwin sent an email to Nick McLeland and his in-house investigator, Steve Mullen, requesting they produce both the Davis, those letters, not sure what the wording is, both the Davis, those letters, and any video recording in their possession of an interview with Ricci Davis. McLeland's response was vague, non-responsive to the defense request, and did not indicate whether he, McLeland, ever received those letters, nor whether he sent those letters to the defense. In other words, McLeland never confirmed or denied the existence of said letters. Neither did he confirm or deny that he provided those aforementioned Ricci Davis letters to defense counsel. On February 13, 2025, at 3:54 p.m., Attorney Baldwin sent another email to McLeland asking straightforward questions. Did you receive multiple letters from Ricci Davis in the months leading up to Richard Allen's October 24, 2024 trial? And if so, did you turn those letters over to the defense? These should be questions easily answered and quickly answered. If McLeland never received such letters, he should know that answer immediately, since Ricci Davis claims that he, Ricci Davis, sent the letters directly to Nick McLeland. If McLeland did receive such letters, he should know those answers immediately. Furthermore, if he did receive such letters, he should very quickly be able to identify the dates that he sent those letters to the defense and how he sent them to the defense, i.e. email, e-discovery, etc. As of the time of the filing of this document, McLeland has failed to answer these simple, straightforward questions. The defense has reviewed all e-discovery from March 2024 to the present to determine whether the prosecution provided the Davis letters to the defense to determine if those letters were hidden among other discovery. The defense found no such letters penned by Ricci Davis addressed to Nick McLeland in the e-discovery. The defense has reviewed all emails during the applicable time frame to determine whether McLeland ever forwarded an email with attached letters from Ricci Davis. No such emails exist. The defense requests that the court order McLeland's office, as well as any law enforcement agency, to preserve any letters from Ricci Davis in their possession and further to turn them over to the defense immediately. The defense similarly requests the court order McLeland's office, as well as any law enforcement agency, to preserve any video recording of any interview with Ricci Davis in their possession and, further, to turn such video recordings over to the defense immediately. The defense is concerned that without an order from the court, the prosecution and or law enforcement may lose the Davis letters as well as the videotaped interview of Ricci Davis, or that the state of Indiana may refuse to turn them over to the defense. See, this doesn't make sense to, rational-minded people. If this information that Ricci Davis was putting out there was so damning and it meant something, why wouldn't law enforcement have just gone directly to that and pinned it on a person who died? I mean, it'd be one of the easiest things they could ever do, and they could just pretend that they could never find the third party. But instead, they didn't do that. And they eventually found the person that answered all the questions, and that person's name is Richard Allen. He is the bridge guy, everybody. The defense is concerned that without an order from the court, the prosecution and or law enforcement may lose the Davis letters as well as the videotaped interview of Ricci Davis, or that the state of Indiana may refuse to turn them over to the defense. The defense's concern is well-founded based upon law enforcement's history in this case of losing evidence as documented before, during trial, including claiming that they taped over certain important videotaped interviews. The defense can produce a witness with admissible evidence that in the months before Mr. Allen's trial, the prosecution received some number of letters from Ricci Davis, and that those letters had been given to the people investigating the case. The defense had a constitutional right to know the existence of the Davis letters so that the defense could conduct its own investigation concerning the contents of those letters, including conducting depositions that would naturally flow from the facts alleged in those letters. So for those people out there that are pro-Richard Allen, the groupies out there, let me ask you something. You guys were so vested in the Odinist theory. I mean, you guys were going after all of them. Brad, Holder, Elvis Fields, etc. I mean, every one of you guys talking about it over and over and over again. But where's the mention of the Odinists in this document? Now he's pinning it back on the two regulars, Ron Logan and Kegan Kline. Now, Kegan Kline is somebody that's interesting to me still, because law enforcement apparently believes that the girls went to the bridge that day to meet up with Anthony Schatz, who is a fictitious persona that Keegan Kline created to catfish girls. So Abby and Libby show up there, and then some other person named Richard Allen is one who killed them, or he is the bridge guy, right? So he's the one that abducted them, took them to the crime scene. Now, if there was somebody else there, Richard Allen could easily come forward and clear that up and let all of us know who those other people were, okay? But it seems absolutely just ridiculously convenient to all of a sudden there's a connection between Ron Logan, Kegan Kline. I mean, who else are they going to throw in there? I mean, it's unbelievable. And their sources are two just felons that are going to be in prison for decades and liars. Keegan Kline had law enforcement, jumping through hoops for months and years. Okay, and he's just full of crap. So anyways, let's get back onto this. Had the defense known of Davis's letter before trial, it could have used those letters to further its investigation, present them to this court at the hearing on August 1st, 2024 on third-party suspect culpability, and factored the information contained in those letters into its trial strategy. Had the defense received those letters after the verdict, then the defense could have incorporated those letters into its motion to correct error. I don't think you could have allowed that at trial. You got a guy named Ricci Davis, a felon, who talked to a guy named Ron Logan, and Ricci Davis is claiming Ron Logan said something, and Ron Logan's dead. How could that make it at trial? That's double hearsay, or at least hearsay is. I mean, it's like at a level where it's just not believable. It's almost too prejudicial against the prosecution to allow crap like that. Had the defense received those letters after the verdict, then the defense could have incorporated those letters in its motion to correct error. For the foregoing reason, the defendant respectively requests that the court order the prosecution and any law enforcement agency to preserve any letters from Ricci Davis in their possession. 2, to immediately turn over the defense any letters from Ricci Davis in their possession. 3, to preserve any video recordings of interviews with Ricci Davis in their possession. 4, to immediately turn over the defense any video recordings of interviews with Ricci Davis in their possession. And 5, to preserve all records in whatever form and communication electronics or other, including emails and text messages pertaining to Ricci Davis. All right, well, there you go. And then it's signed at the bottom. But there you go, everybody. There is what the defense is putting out there. They're now claiming that Ricci Davis mentioned and had conversations with Keegan Kline. And Keegan Kline, I guess the key part down in here would be down in this area. Let's see what it says right here. It says, Keegan Kline further revealed that Ricci Davis, that he, Kline, and Logan knew each other through the sharing of child pornography, and that they shared on burner phones, and that further they, Kline and Logan, would see each other every 3 to 6 months so that Kline could assist Logan with using the burner phones because Logan was inept working with electronic devices. That part there, I mean, I guess that does sort of make a little sense. You have Keegan Kline, somebody that's pretty good with electronics, and built web pages, etc., and he's helping this older guy use it. But I mean, that's something that we all knew about, so Ricci Davis could easily just sort of incorporate that into a story. And I just can't imagine Keegan Kline confessing to another inmate. It just doesn't make any sense at all. So let's also go up here. These conversations between Ricci Davis and Keegan Kline occurred all the way up until the guilty verdict, at which time Kline expressed his relief that he would no longer be a viable suspect in the murders due to Richard Allen's conviction. Not knowing whether Richard Allen could be the third person involved in the murders, Ricci Davis asked Keegan Kline whether Mr. Allen was the third person involved in the murders. Kline replied that Richard Allen was not the third person and had nothing to do with the murders. I mean, so why would Keegan Kline say something like that in prison? That just doesn't make any sense. See, this is the same kind of thing that Keegan Kline did all the time. He wants to act like he's a bigger deal. He's already got 40 years in prison, so he's just he wants everybody to think, oh yeah, Keegan Kline was involved. The same crap that he's always done. Ricci Davis further explained that once Keegan Kline began revealing his role in the murders sometime in the summer and fall of 2024, before Mr. Allen's October trial, he began sending letters to Nick McLeland providing many of the details of his conversations with Keegan Kline. Ricci Davis indicated that he believes he sent as many as 8 letters. Yeah, I mean, so that it's interesting, right? But at the same time, none of this stuff is trustworthy, and the evidence shows 100% that Richard Allen is bridge guy, okay? So again, I just think this is another smoke and mirrors attempt by the defense team. Now they're working an angle to get Kegan Kline and Ron Logan together to make it look like they're part of it again. I mean, now they're going to, let's see, the third person is going to be an Odinist. So it'll be an Odinist, Kegan Kline, and Ron Logan, everybody. It's going to be awesome. Can't wait. Part 3 coming up soon. All right, everybody. Thank you all very much for watching. Put your comments in the comments section. Let me know what you think. And as I always say, everybody, until next time, be safe out there.